Sanyal on the dais, respected Major Arup Kumar Thabol sir on the dais. First of all, on behalf of Ramakrishna Vidyamandira, I extend a very warm welcome to both of them. In this gathering present, not to celebrate, but to recount the sacrifice of few gallant sons, gallant soldiers, and I call them especially, they are the real source of our inspiration. Swami Vivekananda wanted especially all the countrymen to be ready to do any kind of sacrifice for the sake of motherland in their lives. Today we are here to pay homage to those gallant soldiers who sacrificed their life in the battlefield for the sake of our motherland. They never bothered of the loss of their parents. Many had wives, children, and they gave up their life. Only their sole intention was to protect our motherland from the hand of enemies. That should be the spirit of renunciation. That should be the spirit of sacrifice. And especially along with the entire defense system, side by side, this NCC throughout this country, all the NCC units, cadets, all the officers of different ranks, qualities, they work incessantly for the same cause. And today we are very fortunate to have Amit Babu, person like Amit Babu and other guests amidst us. And again, I welcome Amit Babu and all other guests. And I would also like to request, especially all the students, categorically the NCC cadets, to rightly take up, to properly imbibe this particular spirit of renunciation and sacrifice. Especially today, this is a real moment to take oath, especially for the youth. This is the right time, as our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji and all the leaders of our country, being very much inspired by the ideas of this love to motherland, Swami Vivekananda, they all unanimously say that this is the right time. We are on the just Amrit Kal of our this independence. This is the right time, right spirit, right moment to take oath. What oath should we take? Being inspired by this service, this concept of service and sacrifice, we also will be ready to do our best, to execute our best for the betterment of this country. How we can do that? Initially, at this stage, Swamiji mentioned that first to become a man. Man is needed. Everything else will come up later. একজন ঠিক মানুষ চাই, স্বামীজি বাংলাতে বলছেন, মনে রেখো পশু নয় মানুষ চাই। আমরা স্বামীজির স্বদেশ মন্ত্র পাঠ করি, ফেমাস স্বদেশ মন্ত্র মেনশন বাই স্বামী বিবেকানন্দ। বলো ভাই ভারতের কল্যাণ আমার কল্যাণ, ভারতের সমাজ আমার শৈশবের শিশুসজ্জা, আমার যৌবনের উপবন, আমার বার্ধক্যে বারাণসী, ভারতের কল্যাণ আমার কল্যাণ। সো এই যেন আমাদের মোটো হয়, এই যেন আমাদের উদ্দেশ্য হয়। ধন্যবাদ, নমস্কার।
Many thanks and regards to Maharaj. Now it's time to change the taste a little bit. Cadet Rohit Das and Cadet Aditya Rai is going to play the tune of Aay Mere Watan Ke Logo on Estrats. So I request them to come up on the stage and play the Estrats. thanks to Cadet Aditya and Cadet Rohit. Now it's time to felicitate our chief guest, Captain Amit K. Sanyal. I request Cadet Ribujyoti Ghosh and Cadet Pradyut Ojha to come up and felicitate our chief guest. Now a documentary is being prepared by Cadet Otonu Das, which we are now going to see. I request him to start the documentary.
ऐ सरजमीन हिंदुस्तान, तेरे उन जानिसारों, जाबाजों, शहीदों और मुहाफिजों को सलाम है, सलाम है, सलाम है, जिन्होंने अपनी बहादुरी की कलम से फतह की एक और बेमिसाल तारीख लिख दी। गवाह है आज भी कारगिल की वो बुलंद चोटियां, जिनको तुमने अपने लहू से सींच कर तिरंगे की आन, बान और शान को रोशन कर दिया। सन 1999 पड़ोसी मुल्क पाकिस्तान ने बगैर किसी आभास के अपने सैनिकों को एलओसी पार कर भारत की सीमा के अंदर भेज दिया। जनरल परवेज मुशर्रफ, जनरल का प्लान सीधा और साफ था। सर्दियों की चरम पर प्रशिक्षित कमांडोज को जिहादी जामा उड़ाकर भारत की सरहद के पार भेजना, वहां पोस्ट और बंकर पर कब्जा करके कश्मीर और लद्दाख को जोड़ती कड़ी को तोड़ना। द्रास सेक्टर की मुश्को घाटी, मारपोला रिज लाइन, कारगिल के आसपास काक्सर, बटालिक सेक्टर, चोर बाटला सेक्टर और सियाचिन के दक्षिण में तुर्तुक पर पाकिस्तानी फौज ने धोखे से अपना कब्जा जमा लिया था। लेफ्टिनेंट सौरभ कालिया की अगुवाई में निकली पेट्रोलिंग पार्टी बड़े रहस्यमय ढंग से गायब हो गई थी। कुछ दिनों के बाद उनका क्षत विक्षत शव पाकिस्तानी सेना ने हमें सौंपा। जिस निर्दयता से उन्हें मारा गया था, प्रशिक्षित पाकिस्तानी फौजियों की ही कुचेष्टा थी। तत्कालीन प्रधानमंत्री श्री अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी पड़ोसी देशों के साथ सद्भावना में विश्वास रखते थे, पर पाकिस्तान के इस छुपकर हमला करने की साजिश से वो अत्यंत क्षुब्ध हो उठे।
हम शांति चाहते हैं, ये तो दुनिया ने देखा। अब दुनिया ये देखेगी कि हम शांति की रक्षा के लिए और अपनी शक्ति का भी प्रदर्शन कर सकते हैं। लड़ाई के परिणाम के बारे में भी मेरे मन में कोई संदेह नहीं है। हमारी विजय निश्चित है और हम विजयी होकर दिखाएंगे।
उन्होंने देश की तीनों सेनाओं को बगैर एक पल गवाए दुश्मन की गोली का जवाब गोलों से देने का आदेश सुनाया। तो भारतीय सेना ने तुरंत एक्शन लेते हुए युद्ध का ऐलान कर दिया। चीफ ऑफ आर्मी स्टाफ जनरल वीपी मलिक के नेतृत्व में लड़ी गई कारगिल की जंग अपने आप में सैनिक रणनीति और साहस का एक उदाहरण है। ऑपरेशन का नाम था ऑपरेशन विजय। थल सेना दुश्मन को खदेड़ रही थी, अब आसमान से आग बरसाने की पारी थी। वर्तमान वायुसेना प्रमुख विंग कमांडर बीएस धनोआ कारगिल युद्ध के दौरान फाइटर स्क्वाड्रन के कमांडिंग अफसर थे। स्क्वाड्रन लीडर अजय आहूजा, के नचिकेता और स्क्वाड्रन लीडर रघुनाथ नाम्बियार जैसे दिलेर फाइटर पायलट भी कारगिल के हवाई हमलों में नायक के तौर पर उभरे। नाम दिया गया ऑपरेशन सफेद सागर। इसी दौरान भारतीय नौसेना भी सक्रिय हो उठी। वाइस एडमिरल माधवेंद्र सिंह की अगुवाई में पूर्वी और पश्चिमी बेड़े एकत्रित हुए और तुरंत उत्तरी अरब सागर से कराची बंदरगाह की घेराबंदी कर दी गई। भारतीय नौसेना के इस मिशन का नाम था ऑपरेशन तलवार। इतिहास बदलने जा रहा था।
On the radio set, and after that another bunker was captured. My company's success in the war, ye dil mange mo.
अगर मुझे अपने खून को साबित करने से पहले मौत आ गई तो कसम से मैं मौत को ही मौत की नींद सुला दूंगा।
कारगिल का ये युद्ध भले ही उच्च अधिकारियों की विस्तृत प्लानिंग और रणनीति के अनुसार लड़ा गया, लेकिन इसे जीतने वाले औसत 20 से 25 साल की उम्र के वो नौजवान सैनिक ही थे जो शेरों की तरह दुश्मन पे टूट पड़े। ये वो बेटे थे जिन्हें अपनी माँ के आत्मसम्मान की चिंता अपनी जान से कहीं ज्यादा थी। पूरे विश्व पटल पर भारतीय विजय का डंका बजने लगा। आज हमारा भारत विश्व में एक नई शक्ति बन के उभर रहा है। कारगिल की ये विजय उस नए भारत की नींव का पत्थर है, क्योंकि इस युद्ध में बही खून की हर एक बूंद ने हमारे आज को सींचा है। वही खून प्रेरणा देता है, बढ़ो आगे, मत रुको, पूरी शक्ति सहित निर्भयता से हर असंभव पहाड़ इसी तरह जीत लो। सीने में जो भारत भूमि के प्रति प्रेम है वो पूर्ण प्रज्वलित हो। जब संपूर्ण विश्व के शीर्ष शिखर पर भारत का ध्वज फहराएगा, तब मेरे देशवासियों हर दिन विजय दिवस कहलाएगा।
All of us, respected sir.
स्वामी महाप्रज्ञानंद, एनसीसी इंचार्ज ANO मेजर अरूप कुमार धबल, present teachers, guests, cadets and my dear students. Firstly, I would like to thank Major Arup Dhaval for organizing this event on Kargil Diwas. As we go ahead with the presentation, you will see the significance of Kargil Diwas. To my mind, it is the last battle which India has fought. And there are certain lessons in modern warfare which we must take home. When I was given this invitation, I was elated because my mother's family are associated with the Ramakrishna mission by Dikha. I have brought my mommy, Mrs. Ira Bhaduri, who is the daughter of late Lieutenant General Bhachaji, who was the Director General of the Armed Forces Medical Service, that is for the three combined Army, Navy and Air Force. And both my sister and I are sons of an army doctor who has participated in 62, 65 and 71 wars in some capacity, and grandchildren of a soldier of the British Indian Army who has fought in Mesopotamia in the Battle of Kota Lamara from 1914 to 1919 in World War I. Without further ado, I will go ahead with the presentation. Now the last part, I was given command of a missile boat, INS Chatak. For the team spirit and being one of the most operational ships in the Kargil war, the ship was given a unit citation. Since I am an ardent follower of Shamiji, I have put certain quotes. My sister prompted, especially for this occasion, to put a few quotes of Shamiji, and I selected certain quotes which are relevant for today's talk. So this is what you are going to get out of this 20 to 30 minutes talk. Most of these have been covered in that wonderful documentary which your student has prepared, but I will try to add some value to it. Now let us see how this operation was conceived. The operation was conceived by the Chief of Pakistan Army, General Parvez Musharraf, who was born in Delhi before the independence of this country and thereafter moved to Pakistan. He is known as a Muhajir as far as Pakistani is concerned, which means refugee. He has taken part, he joined at the age of 18 the Pakistan Military Academy at Kabul. Anybody can tell me where is the Indian Military Academy? Very good. And before that, the training takes place in some other academy which you can join after your 12th, which I joined after my 11th. Which is that? Very good. Which is now flooded. Pune is flooded 10 years above because it is in the hills. Very good. So, the brainchild of General Parvez Musharraf, who actually has taken part in the 1965 war, who has been given an award, Imtiyaz-e-Sanat. And then he was in the Special Services Group, which is the commandos, in the 1971 war. So while our Prime Minister, then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif were going to flag off the Sadai-e-Sarhad Delhi to Lahore bus, the Pakistan Army had already infiltrated into 11 positions along the Chor-Patla range, which we have seen during the presentation. Just see if that video is playing on this. Yeah, that's good. That is Tiger Hill. specifically for you students to read. Right. We will see. We will familiarize you with the terrain. This part is what we call the Pakistan administered Kashmir or POK. This is the Indian part and this is the line of control. Skardu is the northernmost area before the Siachen Glacier. The importance of Siachen Glacier is it is one of the largest freshwater reservoirs in the world next to Antarctica. And this is also the highest battlefield. It is known as the highest battlefield in the world. This is Kargil. This is the line, the road which goes from Srinagar to Kargil. So this is what the Pakistan had planned. They had planned basically to infiltrate troops into strategic locations from where they could control the National Highway 1A, which is the Leh-Srinagar highway. They had put people at a time when the Indian Army was loosely guarding the frontier in winters, where it was not possible to survive. They had put people at a time when they could be firmly entrenched, and the Indians would find it very difficult to reinforce once they come to know that the Pakistanis have already been bunkered. But this is what the Indian Armed Forces felt. Initially, we were given intelligence by the shepherds that there were some people who were not the Indian Army, who were in certain ports which were earlier occupied in summers by the Indian Army. Then 5th May, we went ahead of Dras and Kargil. 8th May, a bigger army patrol was sent in which 4 soldiers were killed. 12th May, there was an aerial recce carried out where they detected militants, and 15th May, more groups were detected. Now you can see, this is Dras, this is Kargil, this is where the Pakistan army had established their artillery, and they were firing across the line of control. But Indian Army was given very strict instructions not to cross the line of control and take over these positions, because of which we sustained a lot of casualties. You can see this is Tiger Hill, Tololing, Kaskar, Kargil, and these are the intrusions. So the idea was to cut off Ladakh from Srinagar and bring the Pakistan government to a very strong position for further talks. This is the entire gambit of Operation Vijay. Tiger Hill was one of the last to be captured. We started from Turtuk, came to Jubar, then Kaskar, Dras, Musko, and then Tiger Hill. Tiger Hill was the most difficult feature. I would request somebody to read these famous quotes. Can we start with the right? On your right. 1, 2, 3, and then you can come to row number 2. Yeah. Sit. Read.
There is no limit to the power of the human mind. The more concentrated it is, the more power is brought here on one.
Right. These are the timelines. We first launched the Indian Air Force to conduct airstrikes. And the initial part, before we go to war, we use all our Air Force artillery to soften, we call it soften the target. Because cheese becomes very hard or butter becomes very hard. You have to put it and make it little soft for you to apply it on the bread, correct? So like that, target is also something which we eat, kacha. Okay? So you have to soften the target before you sink your teeth, so that your teeth are okay for the next target. Okay? Then, France and USA declare Pakistan responsible. One thing at this stage I must tell you is this was a very big media victory. The Indian media, especially abroad, publicized this event as a, as a sort of intrusion by Pakistan and as a sort of defensive action for India. So on June 5th, a dossier was released revealing Pakistan Army's involvement. Initially Pakistan, till the end actually, after the war also, Pakistan never accepted that Pakistan Army was involved with the Kargil operations. But we have found their identity cards, uniforms, letters from their wives addressing them as Captain, Naib Subedar, Havaldar or whatever. And we are very clear that there were people from the Northern Light Infantry as well as Special Services Group. There were hardly any militants. It was mostly 90% Pakistani regulars. So, June 9 was the first victory. 2 key positions in Batalik sector were captured. And thereafter, we had various victories. Yes, please.
The whole secret of existence is to have no fear. Never fear what will become of you. Depend on no one. Only the moment you reject all help are you free.
So these are some photographs. You have seen most of them in that lovely documentary prepared by one of your fellow students.
Our duty is to enroll everyone, encourage everyone in his struggle to live up to his own highest idea and strive at the same time to make the ideal as near as possible to the people.
So Maharaj mentioned 2 qualities which are required. One is renouncing and the second is sacrifice. So both these things bring a lot of conflict and a lot of struggle in you, which Swamiji has mentioned. Now this struggle and conflict which you face with your internal fears, you have to rise above them and then only you will be a successful person. So you can see a lot of achievement was made one by one. What made it very, very difficult is the terrain. You will appreciate what is the freezing temperature of ice cream. How many of you are fond of ice creams? I hope in Ramakrishna Mission you are allowed to eat ice cream. You are not? Okay, how many of you are fond of ice cream? Very good. So what is the freezing temperature of ice cream? It is minus 18 degrees Celsius. The temperature, average temperature in Kargil is minus 40 degrees Celsius. The peaks, as you have seen in the video documentary, are almost vertical and rocky. At any time, any rock can become loose, and thereafter your head will break like an egg falling on the floor from your hand. How many of you have broken eggs? Accidentally? Anyone? Good. So you see how it falls and breaks, like that your head will fall and break. Okay? In that the Indian Army had to climb those slopes despite the heavy wind, despite the freezing temperatures and despite the poor oxygen level. When you people run, in the end of your race, you find that you are falling short of breath. That is a normal thing when you get up in the morning, you are short of breath in Kargil. Yes.
All power is within you. You can do anything and everything. Believe in that. Do not believe that you are weak. Do not believe that you are half crazy lunatics, as most of us do nowadays. Nowadays, you can do anything and everything without even the guidance of anything, of anyone. stand up and express the divinity within you.
So you will see how this is relevant, because you are fighting an enemy which is already on high ground. It is very difficult to fight an enemy on high ground. You have to climb and they are shelling. I mean, when you hear Jogendra Yadav's videos which are available on YouTube.
Jogendra Yadav has come in my call.
Oh, very nice. He was posted with me in National Defence Academy as a Subedar Major, honorary captain in my last posting. From Grenadiers, he must have told you that he has seen arms, legs just flying off when they were approaching. Right. So we will come to artillery. This was a huge success for the artillery, as the gun, which was very controversial, the 155mm howitzer from a company called Bofors in Sweden. The rated range was 26 kilometers. But in Kargil, we achieved more than 40 to 45 kilometers in high altitude, because air density is very less. So we were actually able to fire, and I will show you a video on the firing. Please put on the video. This is MBR, multi-barrel rocket launcher. This is a Tiger Hill. You can see the accuracy. Okay, you can pause the. Yes.
When an idea exclusively occupies the mind, it is transformed into an actual physical or mental state.
So what it means is that where the Indian Army was supposed to reach, it was impossible to climb. They had to use ropes, they had to use rappelling gear, proper mountain climbing equipment, for which very few people were trained. One of them was Jogendra, who was trained because he was from a Ghatak or a commando platoon. Every unit has a Ghatak platoon, which is basically trained at the infantry school in Belgaum in the commando course. They finished the commando course. So when you decide in your mind that yes, you have to achieve your objective, the body will follow. Despite the climate, despite the shelling. Okay, you can imagine here on video you are hearing some noise. In the battlefield, when you hear noise, all your constipation will get over. Okay? Right. Now, I will dwell a little bit about the Indian Navy part, because I was also commanding officer of a missile boat during that operation. One of the main challenges of Pakistan is supplying its country with basic amenities which are required for its sociological and physiological survival. 90% of it comes from outside the country through sea. And the Indian Navy, that is the Eastern Fleet, sailed from Visakhapatnam, joined the Western Fleet, and we carried out a blockade of the coast of Pakistan. We did not allow a single ship to enter, including the US ships. We had told the United States Navy very clearly that we are at war. If you break our exclusion zone, we will open fire on you. We had told them very clearly. Right? So, this is what is important. Nawaz Sharif disclosed that Pakistan was left with just 6 days of fuel to sustain its operations in case a full-scale war had to be declared. So, the Navy's job was done wonderfully by squeezing the country and ensuring that the two pressures. One is from the army by beating them. Second is by the international media and the international community of denouncing Pakistan's intrusion into Indian territory. These two things were supplemented and complemented by Indian Navy's role in squeezing the country of resources. Yes.
Take it, you are right. If you win, you can lead. If you lose, if you can guide.
Okay. So this is some action of the Indian Air Force. Indian Air Force played a very pivotal role. That is, most of the targets were located at such altitudes and such isolation that it was physically impossible for the army to reach. And it is actually, quite a defining thing for the people who had planned it from the other side. How they were able to, through helicopters and all, at a time when they were not under surveillance, land that kind of supplies, ammunition, bunker those places. But you see, we had the Mirage 2000s. That was a feather in our cap. And these Mirage 2000s used precision guided bombs in accurately destroying the target through GPS. Now these bombs are very expensive and these bombs are considered to be strategic assets. They are not tactical, they are not under the military commander, they are directly under the Chief of Air Staff. So Delhi gave permission and these bombs were used. The operation, as you see, is called Safed Sagar. It lasted for 60 days. A total of 6,500 sorties were flown. And the fighters flew about 1,200 sorties. 550 were strike sorties, actually, where targets were struck by bombs and rockets. There were 10 to 11 strike missions daily. You can imagine the kind of effort which was put in on this Kargil war. Right.
If you think yourself strong you will be.
So this is the significance of the Kargil war. It made firstly Pakistan realize that it will not get any kind of support if it carries out what we call a misadventure. Pakistan thought it was going to be a huge success. If you hear Nawaz Sharif's speech, not Nawaz Sharif, if you hear actually Pervez Musharraf's speech, then you will see that they thought it was going to be a huge success. But they got a nice beating. Despite that, in history books in Pakistan, they are taught that they won the war. Like they have won 65 and 71 wars. Right? So it's a very, very different type of country. And there is no Swami Vivekananda there, unfortunately. To tell them the basic issues of truth. So they realize the speed. First thing is, what is the speed and the effectiveness of Indian counter response. They could never imagine that Indians would respond with such force and in such a short time. So we were able to prove to the world what was Pakistan behind the cloak, which it was showing to the world. Now, what we realized, again, like what we realized in 2611 is intelligence needs to be boosted. Now, when you were waiting for me to come, I'm sure you have placed some lookouts, some scouts to see when I'm coming, right? Like that, the Army, Navy and Air Force, they have intelligence which warns them of an impending attack. In this case, there were a lot of lapses we did not realize, and it took them at least 5 to 6 months to come into our territory and establish them, the kind of bunkerage which we found. So we had the Mirage 2000s, my postmate, now Air Marshal Manish Khanna was flying one of them. So what is the efficacy of precision bombing was brought out for the first time in actual situations. Then the Makran coast is basically Pakistan's coast. It is called the Makran coast. Up to the Gulf of Oman, we were able to carry out a naval blockade. And we were able to utilize the submarines close to the coast. Pakistan Navy was completely bottled. Incidentally, I will share with you, we celebrate Navy Day on the 4th of December because of Op Trident. That is the first time the same missile boat which I commanded, its forefather missile boats, went and attacked Karachi harbour, sank 2 ships and set the Khemani oil rigs aflame. Right? In Pakistan, they talk, they brag about the army. That is Indian army, हम देख लेंगे, Indian Air Force को उड़ा देंगे, but Indian Navy के बारे में कोई बात नहीं करता है. Why? Because they are very, very scared of Indian Navy. Because of the 71 attack, it has gone into the psyche that yes, army को देख लेंगे, Air Force को देख लेंगे, लेकिन Navy से बच के पंगे मत लेना. Don't take panga with Indian Navy. Yes.
Alright, await and stop not until.
So we reached the goal on 26th of July, and that is why we are here. Thanks to Major Arup Dhaval, we are here and we are commemorating. Like Maharaj said, we are not celebrating, we are commemorating and remembering. So let us remember a few. I will just show you these slides. I will not explain because most of you have seen the movie Border and LOC Kargil. You have seen the videos. This is Jogender, who has come to your school. 111 Gorkha Rifles. In his services selection board, he was asked a question that what do you hope to achieve when you join the army? He says, I want to get the Paramveer Chakra. And he actually got the Paramveer Chakra. He was one of the most bravest of officers from Sainik School Thilaiya, now in Jharkhand, earlier in Bihar. And anyway, 1st Battalion of the 11 Gorkha Rifles. Gorkhas are, as it is supposed to be, one of the toughest warriors. That's why you have 1 GR in Queen's Protection, or now King's Protection in England, for which a special selection. There is a documentary you can see how much tough is the selection. And there are people whose fathers are in 1 GR, but they are not able to get through. So how heartbreaking it is. Because they are traveling from their village 3 days, 4 days by foot, over hills, camping at night. To come for the selection, they have to go back, disappointed. Right. Now, I will just talk about these 2 qualities. That is renunciation and sacrifice. I have learned sacrifice since my childhood because my father was in the army and my grandfather was also in the army. Renunciation took a little bit of time. What we are here for today, Kargil is already over, 25 years have passed. But what are the lessons that we have learned? We should not repeat those mistakes, and the good lessons we should take home. Firstly, we should learn ourselves, and secondly, we should try to teach our fellow people. This country, India, is our motherland. And the soil of this country is something which we put on our head. That is, we do naman of the soil of this country. If anyone dares to point a finger or raise their eyes in an evil manner towards this soil, then our duty is to defend the soil, for which any kind of sacrifice is less. So I want you to repeat one quote after me, as Maharaj was mentioning. Can you repeat after me? How can a man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods? This civilization will survive. That's it. This civilization will survive. This civilization will survive if and only if every one of you who is the future of this nation, this great nation, understands the value of this nation and is prepared to give the sacrifice to maintain the nation's flag flying high. Thank you.
For your enlightened lecture. I think they will, especially my students, my cadets, they will get a message from it. Okay. It is your country and it is our ancient civilization, India. And you have the whole and sole responsibility to do something for India. Okay. Thank you, sir. Next time we will expect that you will come in my college and you will share your views. And I express my gratitude to my principal Maharajji always with NCC wing. I especially convey my thanks to him. Jit Maharajji, আপনাকেও ধন্যবাদ জানাই। ম্যাডামরা এসেছেন অনেক দূর থেকে আমার কলেজে, মানে এইরকম একটা কলেজ যে কলেজের জন্য আমরা গর্ববোধ করি। আপনারা এসেছেন, আপনাদেরকেও অশেষ ধন্যবাদ জানাই। আবার আসবেন। বাইরের স্কুল থেকে এসেছেন মাস্টারমশাইরা, আমার এএনওসরা, প্রিয় এএনওস, দে হ্যাভ কাম অলসো। थैंक यू सर। ओके, विनोद आए हैं मेरे 21 बंगाल बटालियन से। विनोद जी थैंक यू। ओके, बाहर से हमारा और एक कैडेट आए हैं, सीनियर कैडेट। थैंक यू भाई। थैंक यू टू ऑल। ओके, सो वी आर हियर, make a pause and you will enjoy NCC. For this NCC, we are doing all these things, and NCC will be a message to you. Okay, you are now very tender. When you will go furthermore, then you will find what NCC has given. Thank you all, sir.